Did you know your success in business is dependent on more than just sales and staff? Mindset is an often overlooked but powerful aspect of success, and this video will tell you why. Here's the thing, mindset is one of my favorite things to talk about. And whenever I teach a course or I deliver a keynote, one of the first things I tell everyone is that more important than any sales strategy I could teach you or any business strategy is helping you shift your mindset. I can teach sales strategy all day. If someone believes that salespeople are bad or greedy or salesy, guess what? They're right. And they will make that belief true for themselves all the time. Because the first thing I want to share with you is that whatever you believe, you're right. The first time I heard someone say that was when I attended a T. Harv Eker event years ago. And he wrote a book called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, one of my favorite books of all time. And I remember him saying from the stage, whatever you believe, you're right. And it has stuck with me all of these years. And it was definitely one of those things that I needed to hear at the time because I had a lot of limiting beliefs about money and a lot of limiting beliefs about business. And it's what put me on this journey to shift all those beliefs so not only could I do that for myself, but I could do that for others as well. On a regular basis, I'm constantly helping our CEOs shift their limiting beliefs. And a lot of times it's I don't want to say it's a small belief, but it's like one belief that stops them from having a 7-figure business, for example. I remember having a conversation with a client who had grown a business to $500,000, which is amazing, right? $500,000 business is great. It gave her and her family a nice lifestyle. It was comfortable. When I met with her one day, though, she said, Ursula, I really want to have a 7-figure business, but I've never been able to figure out how. Now, that wasn't necessarily true because I think she did know how, because she'd grown it to $500,000. Like if you think about it, the how is, well, let's have twice as many clients as we have now. We'll be at $1 million. And so when you look at it on paper, it seems really simple. The how was there, but what wasn't there for her was her belief, her mindset. And that's okay, because that's where we all get stuck, right? That's why, again, I could have sat there and revenue modeled out $1 million business for her. I could have sat there and said, here's the strategies that you want to implement. But it wouldn't have mattered because she had a belief. And so we started to dig into this limiting belief. And for her, it was around sales. Now, I'm guessing that she's not the only one. And her belief was that salespeople are greedy, salespeople are just in it for themselves. And so every time she picked up the phone to call a new prospect, or maybe even make a cold call, her belief was that they were going to think she was salesy. So she didn't make a lot of calls. In fact, somewhere along the line, she began to just rely on past customers and referrals, which was great. It gave her a $500,000 business, but not the $1 million business that she wanted. So fast forward, we did a belief shift on that one belief. I asked her, I said, what's not true about salespeople being greedy? And we started to break that limiting belief apart. And underneath all of that, when it was all stripped away, she realized that she was truly a problem solver and she loved serving her clients. And we got her to be able to say, I am a professionally persistent problem solver. And that belief, that energy allowed her to start to pick up the phone. And guess what she found out? When she called people, they said, why haven't I heard from you, right? Why didn't we ever do business together? Or why aren't we referral partners sending business back and forth to each other? Like it just opened up. Within a year, she had a 7-figure business. So what was standing in her way? Mindset. Can you shift your mindset? Absolutely. Here's the thing to remember. A belief is just a thought that you think is true. It goes back to what T. Harv Eker said, whatever you believe, you're right. So can you change a thought? Yeah, you do it all day long. Can you change a limiting belief? Absolutely. You can do it right now. You can do it in the moment. You can ask yourself the question, what's not true about this limiting belief? Look at 3 things that are not true. It starts to fall apart, and then choose an achieving belief like this client did. And she said, I'm a professionally persistent problem solver. You can change a belief that fast. The thing to remember, second, is that your mindset operates based on the experiences you had before you were 7 years old. We basically operate from an unconscious place. And that's okay. It's okay to recognize that. Like when you recognize that, you can stop beating yourself up and just say, whatever happened to me, whatever it was, I took on some belief. Okay, what's that limiting belief? What do I believe now? And when you know that limiting belief, you can start to disassemble it. Mindset, if you think about the word, mind set. It means your mind is set in a specific place. And if you think about it, it's like if you think about your mindset being stuck in a certain place, right? Maybe it's right here. And the limiting belief is that I can't have a 7-figure business. We just want to move your mindset over here to a new belief and have your mindset on, oh yeah, I am the owner of a 7-figure business and I only work 20 hours a week. That's one of our favorite belief statements that our clients love to take on. Move your mindset from here, that is not possible for you, to over here. That's what we're doing. We're shifting where your mind is set. Unfortunately, most of us have limiting beliefs about money. And we've had a lot of experiences about money throughout our lives. It's only a small percentage of the world that's born, in the 1%. The rest of us, right? The rest of us are born typically in families who didn't have a lot of money. And that's okay. Money is not the end all be all, but my guess is you're here because you want to bring more money into your business. And so starting to ask yourself, what do I believe about money? What did I learn about money when I was growing up? And it's not to be judgmental against your parents. Like, everybody's parents truly did the best that they could. Even if it was a terrible situation, unfortunately, like, your parents did the best that they could given whatever they were given in life. And when you remember that, it starts to lose its power, and those limiting beliefs about money start to lose their power as well. What if everything you've been taught about money isn't true at all? And what if the truth is you can create as much money as you want to? And how do I know that's possible? Because I see people do it all the time. We have trillionaires in the world now, right? We have billionaires who didn't come from money. One of my favorite people to think about is Oprah Winfrey. Like, if you look at her origin story, so hard, so challenging. There was no money, and so many challenges along the way for her. And yet somehow she was able to shift her mindset and shift her beliefs about money to become a billionaire. If she can do it, if others can do it, it's important to start to believe that you can as well. And so if you're feeling stuck at an income ceiling right now, it's totally normal. In fact, being aware of the income ceiling is already a breakthrough. So for example, if you've been stuck at $250,000 a year for quite a while, or $500,000 for quite a while, just acknowledge that. Just acknowledge that that's where your mindset is right now. And when you acknowledge it, you can ask yourself, well, what do I really want? I want 7 figures. Okay, great. What do I believe about having 7 figures? And see what pops up. See, what happens when you set a bigger goal is that your limiting beliefs show up. They show up right away. So a lot of people say, I don't think I have any limiting beliefs. And I'll say, oh, tell me about your stretch goal. And they'll tell me, and I'll say, what do you believe about that? And they'll say, I don't believe I can. I have it. And I'm like, okay, bingo, there's your limiting belief. So just remember that income ceilings they're normal. We all have them. We all hit them. But being aware of them is a superpower so that you can expand them. Fifth, whatever you believe about sales comes out in the sales process. And I talked about this in the beginning about my client. And just, it's okay to just acknowledge your limiting beliefs about sales, or how you feel about salespeople, or how you feel about the sales process. Whatever your limiting feelings are, it's okay. It is what it is. So acknowledge it and start to take yourself through the process of, looking at that limiting belief, asking yourself what's not true about it so it can disintegrate, and then choosing a new belief that'll give you that momentum you want right now. And because you're still hanging out with me, I have a pro tip. And I really want to stretch you in this moment. I said it, but I want to make sure that you heard it. The fastest way to get to the next level in your business, or to really reach that stretch goal, is to blow through that limiting belief. So take a moment right now and ask yourself, what is my true heart's desire? How much revenue do I really want to bring in every 12 months? What is that number? And just go with the first number that comes up, not the one that you edit, not the one that you say you can't have, that number. And then ask yourself, what do I believe about it? Not the positive stuff. Some people will be like, well, I think it'd be great. No, I want to know your limiting belief about why do you think it's not possible for you? And the second you find it, take yourself through the process we talked about today to release that limiting belief. So today we talked about the power of mindset. And I reminded you that whatever you believe, you're right. But what do you want to be right about? Your mindset operates, again, based on your experiences before you were 7. You don't have to remember those experiences. You don't have to know what they are, but it's okay to start to question your mindset and what your limiting beliefs are, particularly about money. And remember that everyone has an income ceiling. Everyone hits an income ceiling. The power is in being aware of it and asking yourself what you really want, what your true heart's desire is. The true power of breaking through an income ceiling comes from the pro tip I shared with you. Set a really big stretch goal for yourself and ask yourself what your number one limiting belief is about reaching that goal. Thank you for hanging out with me today. And if you enjoyed this video, stick with me because next up, we're going to talk about the limiting beliefs that you're holding on to right now. And remember, your 2X is waiting for you too.